Today's topic is for pastors and leaders, and specifically partners who are using our tools to create a discipleship culture. I want to talk today about pathways and workflows. Now, I'm going to define all this, so just pay attention as we go through this. Maybe go through this with a staff or with an overseer team, because we're going to get really technical here. But the truth is this, here's the big idea. If you don't get serious about connecting your discipleship pathway to your staff workflow or your volunteer workflow, then you'll have a hard time scaling. Now, the goal for a Pursue God Network church is to scale a discipleship culture through your entire church and then eventually through your entire community. So let's talk about how the pathway relates to the workflow and what the solution is using the Pursue God resources. So first of all, definitions. The discipleship pathway is the process that your church has defined to get people to your picture of Christian maturity. Now, I want to just stop here for a second, because for some of you churches, if you're really new to these resources, maybe you need to just stop right here and ask yourself a couple questions. Number one, what is our picture of Christian maturity? Now, I'll show you Pursue God's answer to that in just a second. And number two, what's our pathway, our discipleship pathway to get people to this picture? Now, let's take a look at Alpine Church. I want to show you what our picture of a fully formed disciple is and what the pathway is to getting there. In fact, it's all right here under how to use Pursue God. This page is designed to help you pursue God with your group or mentor. And here's a picture we're working toward. This is what we define as a fully formed follower of Jesus. It's someone who trusts Jesus, who honors God, and then who makes disciples, who helps others to trust Jesus and honor God. So that's our picture. And the process then for getting people there, and it's important that we understand this. This is the pathway, right? The pathway is this 3E process. We encourage people to engage using the featured topics on the page, and then to establish people in the faith using the pursuit. That's our 12-week discipleship track. And then finally, to empower those people to go out and do the same thing with others. So let's go back to the point. The discipleship pathway is the process that your church has defined to get people to your picture of Christian maturity. If you're a Pursue God Network church, you're probably using our definition of the process and our definition of Christian maturity. But that's just the start of it. If you don't move on to this next thing, if you don't integrate it into your workflows, then it's never going to happen. So let's define a workflow. Your staff or your volunteer workflow is a task list that is generated based on a specific ministry need or request. So for example, someone comes into your church and they're hungry for the truth, and they say, I want to learn more about Jesus. I want to learn more about the Bible. I want to learn more about God. What are the tasks that are generated to help that person get from A to B to C to D until they're a fully formed follower of Jesus? Now, again, maybe your church would say, I don't know, I haven't really thought about a workflow. My staff just puts out fires all week. Well, that's why this topic is really important. I encourage you, I challenge you to really sit down and think about, what are some of the tasks? How do we help that person get from A to Z when they come into our church doors? And I want to show you an example here of how we do it at our church. Now, you're looking at the first-time guest workflow. We use Planning Center for our workflows, and I'll explain all that in just a little bit. But for right now, just look over here at the left of the screen. And when a first-time guest fills out a card at our church, it triggers this 6-part workflow. Number one, input all personal info. Usually the guest does that himself or herself on a tablet or at the Welcome Center. Number two, and again, this is a task, is there's a welcome call or an email now that goes out. Either our campus pastor does that or a welcome team does that. Number three, we forward information about kids' church or youth if appropriate. Number four, we send them some links. Number five, we send some relevant Pursue God topics or links. And then finally, number six, the last task in this workflow is to add them to the Discover list. Discover is our monthly next steps informational meeting. So these 6 tasks represent the workflow that goes into the task list of staff members or volunteers at our church so that this first-time guest is properly followed up on. So let's go back to the point. Your staff workflow is a task list that is generated based on a specific ministry need or request. The best organizations in the world know how to use their workflows. The best churches in the world are organized as well when it comes to their workflows. So finally, let me show you the Pursue God solution for connecting your discipleship pathway to your staff workflows. And it's all about your partner page. Your partner page at Pursue God helps you make a church level connection between pathway and workflow. What I mean by church level is it's not just a staff level connection. There's an integration between the people who come to your church, whether it's leaders and mentors, small group leaders, core volunteers, or whether it's a first-time guest or a newcomer who's interested. It's a church level connection so that the people that are coming to your church, even if it's a large church, can connect and fill out forms and then get integrated into the workflow so that your staff is doing the right stuff every single day during the week. Now, your network mentor can help you a little bit more. We'll talk more about the details of workflows and Planning Center and other options for creating workflows. But here's how it works on our page. I want to just point this out, that when someone fills out milestone number 1 on this page, and that's the milestone that's connected to someone in our church engaging someone else, whether in a small group or out there in the community or just right there in the church. When someone starts engaging someone in a pursuit of God, we have them fill out milestone number 1. And what happens there is that form is connected to our workflows on Planning Center. So as soon as somebody fills this milestone log out, everything that they fill out goes into our staff database, and it shows up on the proper staff member's workflow so that that staff member can start doing the stuff that really creates a discipleship culture in their church. Now, I know that this was a lot of information. This is supposed to be an introductory topic, but your network mentor can help you sort of take a look at our page and talk a little bit more about how to integrate your forms on your page with the workflow that you're using in Planning Center or even on Google Docs, however it is that you sort of organize your workflow with your staff or your volunteers. We want to make sure that we help you connect those dots. Because once again, if you don't get serious about connecting your discipleship pathway, which we help you with on a partner page, with your staff workflow, then you won't scale your discipleship culture. It won't get out to everyone in your church. And you'll frustrate yourself. You'll frustrate your volunteers. But if you can start getting strategic about your workflows, then you're going to help more and more people pursue God at your church.